Welcome back, everyone, to day 3 of Super Week. Joining us right now is Marne's super carry, Niantanso.
Okay.
Just got to say, an amazing game, and I really have to ask you, is that one of the most intense games you've played in?
Yeah, definitely one of the most, for sure.
Wow.
I'd say it was an amazing game, yeah.
Walk me through this, because you guys were pushed back to your base so early on in the game, and then you just started winning team fight after team fight. When did you really start believing that you could come back and win that one?
I think throughout, like at the very start of the game, I was farming really poorly. Double lift was like 20 CS up on me, so I had to pick it up. And once I started out farming by a lot, I was pretty confident if we just turtled, we could definitely win. Tristana is like the king of late game, so if you get to the late game, you're going to win the game.
So we noticed that you guys obviously came out with all threats, like you do. Marne's a team that likes to fight. But then you started turning into almost CLG-esque, and you were like, all right, Aurelia, get me a Zeeks. Get some more slow. I'll build the Frozen Mount later, too. What was the adaptation there? What was the thought behind it?
Basically, we were just getting crushed so bad that we decided, okay, if we can't beat him, we'll just join him. And we decided to beat him in late game, and it worked out really well.
Man, so talk me through what you guys are feeling coming into this day, because you guys need a lot of help to make the playoffs, essentially. That's a pretty good start. What do you got left?
We play Complexity later at 7 o'clock, so if we win that game, I don't know exactly how the standings will be, but we have a much better shot at not being bottom 2, so we really want to win that.
And I've kind of been asking all the teams this to see, you know, what the feeling is. And you obviously came in week 5 during MLG for Marne, but your perspective of the team then and really what you guys have accomplished together and just to now, what's your mindset on the LCS?
It's a really cool environment. It's really amazing to be able to play every single week, see everyone every single week, and just the competition is amazing. I really, really enjoy playing in it, and I hope to keep on playing in it.
And how do you feel yourself has grown with Marne?
Well, when I first started, I was pretty bad, like nowhere near as good as I used to be when I played on Orbit, but I'm getting back into the groove of things really well and hopefully can keep on improving.
How have you been able to improve since you recognized that your skills had deteriorated a little bit?
Well, it's not, my mechanical skill was still the same, but I was just a really solo queue player, and I still am kind of a solo queue player, so I need to go back to the tourney setting, and once I get that down, it should be fine.
What's the mindset there? Like, what's the one thing you really need to kick from solo queue to a team mentality, and even for yourself or just players trying to be professionals?
Well, my solo queue mentality is in that I only try to farm in solo queue because I just want to carry the team late game and I can't really trust anyone. But in a team setting, I need to have the trust in everyone and be able to go to the objectives when I need to go to the objectives right away instead of trying to go for the farm instead.
Yet in that last game, you're the one who just ended up carrying everyone because you had a million kills on Tristana. Who actually makes the strat?
Heartbeat, but with learning a new role and trying to improve his shot caller, we decided it wasn't the best idea. So right now we don't really have a decided shot caller. Usually it's just all 5 people chipping in, but we really should lock that down soon and try to finalize one official shot caller.
So coming up against Counterlogic Gaming, the top lane, Mega Zero and Hotshot, kind of have the same champion pool that mixed together, but a lot of people on the team play the same. How did you guys approach this game in picks and bans?
Well, we knew that they definitely picked Vayne in the 1-2 after we first, I don't even remember what we first picked. That game was just crazy.
Yeah.
But we knew they'd pick Vayne, so I decided Vayne was really confident in that, and it worked out.
Are you guys, do you think, going to be able to carry some of the momentum through from the comeback in CLG? Because would you agree that Marne is kind of a momentum-based team?
Yeah, definitely. Like, when we're behind, no one's really talking that much, and that really hurts you a lot when you don't have an official shot caller, because no one's going to talk, and no one's really talking. But when we're ahead, all 5 people are talking. That's really good. We have really good communication when we're ahead, but really bad communication when we're behind.
And really, who can come down to that? If you were to give it to one person, who's the one guy that would be like, all right, let's get our chins up back in this game?
I'd probably say Claky D, or maybe me, but I don't even know. I wouldn't want to be a shot caller.
So what does Claky D say when he's about to go and initiate then? Because that game he was about 0-8, but still creating all the fights.
He basically just asked us, should I go in, and then we either said yeah or no, and then that's basically all of it. So,
all right.
Yeah.
Well, Niantanso, thank you very much for the interview. A tip of the hat to the honorable pentakill in your last game.
Yep.
Congrats on that, and congrats on the rest of the games coming up in
Thank you.
Super Week. Now it's time for our second match of the day, Curse versus Complexity. And while St. Vicious and his team would take over sole position of first place with a win, Complexity needs a victory just to keep their playoff hopes alive. Coming into today, both teams are expecting an uphill battle, but Curse has a pretty good idea of what they need to do to clinch the win.
We're pretty sure we can beat Curse. Last time we played them, we had a pretty good lead, but we just couldn't close it out somehow.
We played them last week, and they gave us a very tough matchup. It was very back and forth.
And we threw it, and we watched our replay, see what we did wrong, and so I think we'll have another good showing this week.
Complexity's team has been stepping up their game a lot since they got Prawley. I think he's like the heart of that team right now. They make a lot of their plays based off him. I think shutting him down is going to be probably one of the biggest factors in winning the game.
Just hopefully Nijaki doesn't get Morgana again, because that champion is ridiculously annoying.
Even though Curse is 3-0 in this series, Complexity had them up against the ropes fighting for their lives last week.
And it was that AP Janna mid from Prawley that really caught everyone by surprise. And Complexity had such a strong early game in that last match. But Curse had the strong late game. They outperformed him later. They moved him around the map, and they finally fished him off. And in that, Nijaki's Morgana, which probably says ridiculously annoying, never died. He was 2-0-17 against that. And because he was so annoying in that game and such a frontline presence, Cop had a really great Twitch game as well. Cop went 12-1-8 and actually had a pentakill in that game for Curse.
So let's check out the lineups here. On the blue side, it is going to be Curse. Voyboy in the top lane, St. Vicious in the jungle, Nijaki in mid, Cop and Elements at AD and support.
And on the red side, it's Complexity with Nick Wu in the top lane, Ludamortis in the jungle, Prawley in mid, Brunchu on AD, and MIA on support.
We'll have to see what these guys have coming in for each other into this game. It's going to be a great matchup, but they have kind of a bar to follow after that last game. We'll see if they can meet it.
It's going to be a pretty tight bar. And even though Marn is now 3-1 against CLG on the year, Marn kind of felt like they had CLG's number in a lot of these ways.
Right.
And even though Complexity is 0-3 against Curse, Complexity has played them so tough. Even thinking back to the very first game they had, Ludamortis played Vi jungle and got a 4-minute dragon for his team over the wall. Every single time these guys have played, it seemed like Complexity punches them in the face a little bit. Curse sits down, brushes some water on their face, comes back, and just hammers them at the end of the game. And I wonder if we're going to see something similar, or if Curse finally kind of has it together, because this has not been the best week for Curse thus far. They came into it with a 14-1 record against their potential opponents. And of the opponents they've already faced, they were supposed to be 9-1 before then, but they're 1-2 on the week.
Yeah,
right? They are not necessarily playing at the top of their game right now, and it's not the best time of year to not be playing at the top of their game, since they're in a tie for first with TSM.
And again, the last times, St. Vicious bringing out the Volibear with these teams, so they're trying to do different things against Complexity, because they are a composition that will go for poke, a composition that will go for dive, and like you said, with Prawley, they could also go for anything.
And what is Complexity going to go for this time? Because they have done seemingly everything. The Gragas started getting banned out for Prawley, and actually against TSM, the only game Complexity has lost this week, by the way, was when Prawley played Diana against Reginald's Karthus, and I feel like he actually broke his own rule.
Yeah.
Because when we talked to Prawley before, he was talking about how underplayed champions gain more power because people don't know how to play against him, and that's where Prawley draws his strength from. But so many people played Diana that even though he picked it away from Reginald, Reginald knew exactly how to play against it, and TSM knew how to play against it, and Prawley had a bad game.
Yeah, he needs to keep playing outside the box. He kind of conformed a little bit there, so we'll have to see if he brings out something again. I know I poked him, and I was like, I'd love to see some Cassiopeia play. Because obviously, something like that versus Curse, you have Voyboy, Jarvan that want to jump in on your face, and he goes, dude, you do not want to see my Cassiopeia play. So I was sad. Sad moment for a second there, but it's still going to be great because since he has come onto the team, Complexity, he has brought out those picks, and he says that's the reason that it's able to throw so many people off. Ludamortis now as oh jeez, he got some hate there.
He had the Curse or Die wristband that Curse actually hands out at kind of all of their LAN events, and he was like, yeah, you know what?
Die.
We're going to beat Curse. They're going to die right now.
He took the ore and he selected.
Yep. He picked which one he was going to be going for.
So we'll have to see. People point to the fence for Curse, right? TSM put the brand out there. They pointed to the fence, tried to take it out. GGU did it. They pointed to the fence. They put the brand in the selection. We'll have to see if they can do it. As we do get into Champion Select with these guys, it's going to be your second match of the day here on our final day of NA Super Week, Curse versus Complexity.
And the first ban comes in. They're getting rid of Nick Wu's Zed. They're getting rid of Nick Wu's Jace. It looks like they're trying to get rid of Nick Wu.
This is a lot of what was in the last time these two teams played. A lot of Zed, or actually Zed was banned out. Jace was played in the top lane by Complexity, and Saint played Volibear, So
they're trying to cut that out from Nick Wu, and just like Hotshot and Megazero were trying to get banned out in the last game, it's definitely a Nick Wu party here, whereas Complexity is just kind of going with standard bans. They don't want Volibear for St. Vicious, he played it last game. They don't want Elements on Thresh because he plays a lot of Thresh and actually has really good results with it. It's something like 4 or 5-0 with Thresh this year, so what is it really going to be for Complexity on this last ban, since they haven't really targeted anything other than highly played champions. Maybe we could see something like a Morgana ban if it's too annoying. Nah.
Nope, it's going to be the Jarvan. MIA actually played not unconventional support, but he did take Kale last time these two played for that support. So Complexity tried to put power really in each lane that they had. And MIA is one of those to build ability power in the late game. But we do see a second game in a row where TF is first picked.
And it's creeping up on NA now.
Yep.
Right? It's one of those things
Back
that
in.
TF kind of comes and goes. He's always known as incredibly powerful. Sometimes he's like first pick, first ban 100% of the time, like he has been in the OGN spring season over in Korea. And it's becoming that for the last couple weeks of the North American LCS. But early in the season, there weren't really any TF players. Now it's becoming more and more common.
We see the Kazakhs lock in, actually played by Voyboy last time these two teams met, so it looks like they're trying to take away each other's comfort.
Exactly. And you see that with the Misfortune as well.
Cop as well.
Brunch U will be playing Misfortune. I mean, yesterday Cop played a couple of Ashe games, and there was that constant debate of, well, wouldn't Misfortune kind of be better there if you could just get a bullet time off versus the arrow? Curse was opting for the arrows. It worked out in their first game, but in Curse's defeat to Dignitas, he fell really far behind in minion kills against AmiCutiePie's Caitlyn, and just wasn't able to have the late game damage that they required. So that is a top lane Gragas that I think Voyboy's picked as well.
I'm thinking so. If not, Renekton is still on the plate if they want to get another fighter in there versus Kazakhs, but they can play that safe against and disperse the isolation like they said that Prowley looks to find with the Kazakhs on their team.
And if this is actually the matchup, if that's a top lane Kazakhs against a top lane Gragas, I really want to see how that plays out because it'll be very aggressive. Voyboy body slams people usually at level 2 with top lane Gragas. He'll go W and E and just go for it. But if you do that against Kazakhs, you're making yourselves open and essentially isolating yourself. So I don't know if that's something that Complexity is going to be wanting to opt into, whether Prowley is going to be going with Kazakhs. You can see they're kind of talking a whole bunch right now about what they really want to do because that made it a very curious choice.
It did, because it's also a direct counterpick to what Prowley has liked to bring out in the Kazakhs composition that they have. It's one of the pivotal, I can push this person away, we can explode him. So we'll see what he does choose. If they kind of figure out another champion they can do that with.
The mind games. And with that Kale pick, that's not necessarily a Kale mid, because Complexity ran Kale in the Annie composition they had. MIA has played a lot of support Kale in the past. His Thresh has been ridiculous, but since Thresh is banned, it could be a fallback support. So this,
I think they want to see if that is a top lane Gragas or not, leaving Prowley last pick.
I think they might know it's a top lane Gragas, because it's not going to be a top lane Twisted Fate, right? So
they did pick
pretty sure
on
Nijak
Caitlyn,
is there.
right? They need the 80 carry.
And it's actually just a matter of choice of where Nick Wu or Prowley wants to go against. Like, Twisted Fate, or Kazakhs is pretty good against Twisted Fate. And I actually think Kazakhs is pretty good against Gragas as well, so it might just be a good pick overall.
So this may be Nick Wu's pick coming in.
It could be. It could actually be any of the 2 picks. This could be a Nick Wu pick or a Prowley pick or an MIA pick, because they could swap around in all these different ways, which is why I think Curses went with just kind of whatever composition they want to play. St. Vicious has been playing a lot of Udyr in the past little while. He seems to react pretty well with the changes. He puts his second stance usually Bear, sometimes more Turtle. It depends on the situation in the game, and builds usually just kind of full tank. But it's a lot of map pressure he tries to create with that as well. I don't know what Complexity is going to be going with their last pick here. They could go with something like Janna if they decide to go Prowley in the mid lane, because Janna is really, really good against Udyr, since Udyr relies so much on move speed, and Janna just gives the whole team move speed. But we'll have to see what they decide.
We will. The double AP comp so far from Curse. What is going to work against this coming from Complexity? They are taking all the time in the world, and Nick Wu has done this before, so he's not a stranger, but it hasn't been locked in yet. Looks like it will be. MIA sits on it. He doesn't look to be making any moves, and the Darius gets locked in for Complexity here in Week 10.
That is the choice for them, so this probably means support Kale, mid Kazakhs, and the top lane Darius. His Darius was awesome the last time he played it. Even after the game, he was just so pumped up, he just threw a Darius ult into the desk out of his pure happiness and joy. That's a reset comp for Complexity. They try to get all the burst damage coming out from Amumu's Curse of the Sad Mummy and the bullet time for Misfortune, and then hopefully Kazakhs and Darius can just all hop all over the place and get all the kills. People don't even realize, actually, that Darius's ultimate is attached to about 150 range move block to move you towards the target. So he does a little bit of bunny hopping as well in those team fights, even though Kazakhs is much much more pronounced. And Curse is once again just about the Twisted Fate, global map pressure, and pushing. Everyone on that team can shove. Udyr will help shove lanes as well, and they're going to try to keep Complexity back and away from team fights.
This will be interesting to see if Complexity goes for anything in level 1. They do have a good amount of, or not Complexity rather, but Curse, because they have that poke, they have the Gragas, and they also have, you know, the yellow card bear stance if they need it for the engagement. So Curse known to be not as aggressive during the early game, but they show a composition that could really put the impact on it.
And throughout most of the season, Curse had started with fewer wards than a lot of teams.
Right.
And even with that, they did pull off a couple good plays at level 1. I remember one game against Dignitas where they got a 3-for-1 right at the start of the game because of some smart warding.
The red pot start.
Then you got to keep in mind with Complexity, they've been starting some games with 4 red elixirs.
Yeah.
They didn't do it in their last defeat against TSM, but in their 2 victories on the first day of Super Week, they did start with 4 red elixirs. It was the support, the AD carry, the mid and the top, and I think Loudamortis was the only one who didn't have a red elixir.
So we'll have to see what these two teams have for each other. Curse bringing out the double AP composition. Gragas in the top, Nijaki on Twisted Fate in the middle. Looks like it's going to be a whole heck of a lot of attack damage coming in from Complexity as Nick Wu picked up Darius in the top lane. That's a great pick. It's an all-star.
He's really strong.
Darius in the top lane and Kha'Zix for the middle.
And there it is, 4 red elixirs, a bunch of wards, and a bunch of health potions. So Complexity definitely looking to get some action early. Their level 1 isn't super potent. They could get a slow off from Kayle if they decided to get it. Maybe Loudamortis could land a Banish Toss if he decides to skill it. But with all those red elixirs, they might be looking for some blood.
First ward goes down to make it for the sneaky invade, and it looks like Complexity is going to put a few more down as they get an aggressive ward here towards Wraiths. I think he might just walk at Saint and try to place it down.
I don't know if Saint saw them there or if they saw Saint because there were no pings going straight down onto the 5 Complexity members or Saint Vicious, but there are pings on Voyboy.
That's scary.
Yeah, that was a little touchy. He didn't ping either. I wasn't swapping the vision around on my machine. I don't know if they saw anything.
Saint Vicious and at least Loudamortis saw each other for sure.
Okay.
Near the Wraiths, they saw each other for just a second because Loudamortis popped out of the bush. So they may think there's a ward by Wraith, but they actually have that red ward down. So if they keep their AD carry support bottom, we'll have to see if they pressure that because only Gragas is bottom. It seems like they switched the lanes here on the blue side.
All right. They're just going to go jungle now because they're going to jungle in the wards, it looks like. There are finally the pings down on a Complexity because they know where they are, and they're still grouping around as a team because they didn't really catch out Curse to know where they are at. They only placed that ward that Voyboy just walked by near the red, and yeah, probably lane swap.
Voyboy is he coming up to help or is he going all the way around? Curse is recalling this from that ward C at Wraiths, and they're going to send Voyboy back to the top lane. I wonder if they'll even give, no, it's going to be Saint Vicious blue. I was looking at the junglers. But yeah, he'll go top now.
So I guess with that, Curse really wants to make sure they're in 1v2 scenarios. Voyboys, Gragas, that whole Gragas Kha'Zix thing I was talking about, completely ignore that because that's a Kha'Zix mid and a Gragas in a 1v2. So not relevant whatsoever, but what is relevant is this Curse bottom lane.
They're swapping it again because they're backing in the top part of the jungle right now. If they start running to the bottom lane, unless they're just going extra potions, no. They swap it back. They put Voyboy back into the 1, and Nijaki figures out the damage of a level 2 Kha'Zix.
That was a little bit of Kha'Zix. Everyone who plays Kha'Zix talks about the power of his all-in at level 2, where he just jumps on you in Qs. Even if you're not isolated, it still does a bunch of damage because he can get his passive off on the next auto attack. So Jackie immediately in trouble in that lane, and that's one of the reasons he started with a Crystalline Flask. He's actually already burned through all of his health potions, unless he may have started with the Warden, just 1 health potion. I don't exactly remember, but either way, he's going to be pushed to his turret for quite some time.
As we have seen before, as Kobe says, you know, Nijaki is a member of that AAA, the Flask community. He is one to constantly buy it, so he is going to keep safe in that lane and be happy with his purchase there, not really leading up to a core item. He's okay with it. 3 minutes in, the lanes are kind of just even out as the junglers both at Wraiths.
And that double lane swap by Complexity really showed a couple things. It showed that they want Nick Wu to be able to fight Voyboy on Darius, and it showed that they want to be in this 2v2 because what Curse wanted is they wanted to be able to shove down the 2v1 with Lulu Caitlyn and just get the turret game going, but Complexity did not want to play that game.
In bottom lane, Complexity just chugged both red elixirs on Brunch and MIA just because they got ahead of the minion wave and they wanted that kill. So Cop and Elements now more the wiser.
And Cop and Elements will hopefully be playing this one passive. We've seen some teams make some mistakes against the Red Elixirs early, and MIA is just doing as much as he possibly can to try to keep him back, but it's actually not doing that much. Curse doing a good job at kind of keeping them back with a pull and not letting the damage get traded.
Having a shield support against this Kayle is really going to help just stop a lot of the poke that MIA likes to bring out. Like we said, he builds AP, he looks to do damage, not just zone you. So they're able to mitigate that a little bit in the bottom lane. We see St. Vicious coming down to look for some help here. As they said, the Reds are popped. They're going to try to go aggressive soon.
And St. Vicious may just see that coming. I mean, there's no really wards in the deep brush that St. Vicious has. They just pinged the ward that they know is the brush that they know is warded. And the level 4 Saint coming down, he does have flash. So if Complexity gets aggressive later, St. Vicious would counter gank. Instead, he's not sticking around. St. Vicious really wants to keep up his farm on Udyr. He's not the type to sit in the lane and camp because he wants to make sure he gets really strong.
His smite comes back up. He says, I'll be back in just a second. He puts a pink ward down to make sure that's still a safe path. Mortis doing the same thing, but they're putting their focus on mid. We saw this last game where you kind of focused the TF before he hit 6 and stopped that from happening even longer.
And they want to land that max range Banish Toss real bad. And Jackie's kind of like flirting with disaster here. He doesn't realize that he's there.
Minions.
If it landed, I think they might be able to burst him down because Probably actually put 2 points in his early Q, which is more damage. But Banish doesn't land, man. You gotta go be sad about it.
Probably a level up, still has his Ignite. That would have easily been a first blood. Saint actually chooses not to go back into the bottom lane. That pink ward is still going to be helping them to say, no, there's not any vision, but very good job by Niku up in the top lane, pulling aggression from Saint. He's going to have to go top now.
And it's because Nick Wu's been bullying so hard in this lane. Prawley is also roaming up here. They're looking for a kill. Saint doing a good job of recognizing where the game is at right now, and he's going to walk right into Prawley.
Oh, Saint is there, but he doesn't have much mana. They see that kind of Prawley going face first under the turn to 2v1. Finds himself first blood. The turret gets second blood, a retribution kill as well. Nick Wu very close to going down. Saint looking to grab that second bear stance on. He looks to be in range. He will get the range, but he may go down. Wait, the bandage toss. He walks just away from it. They may not be able to get the kill. Nick Wu stays alive. He's got the potions on. Nightjackie's trying to get in. He's got the red card, though. It's only going to come in for slow. He needs to get in there. This is going to time out, and he won't even use the card. Nick Wu just dances out of this one.
Oh, my God. That was so close to not working out. All the red elixirs there from Nick Wu and Voyboy were consumed. A bunch of turret shots were taken. I didn't think Prawley would be crazy enough to jump into that turret after seeing St. Vicious, but they were, and they do come out of it a kill up.
Absolutely a kill up and 200 gold because of it. We'll see that lane is even in the top, so no real aggression gained there on the positioning. But it was a good fight, and it was a good first blood. 2-1 is a score now coming in at 7 minutes. We got to remember, Voyboy still has a teleport to activate, so if they want to kind of pick something up, like a kill that just happened, they can really make that happen, but they're probably saving it for Dragon. Looking around to mid, Nightjackie's level 5 to a level 6 Prawley already, so you can already see how much focus they're putting on Jackie. Hasn't hit Destiny yet.
But they still have global presence because of Voyboy's teleport and the fact that he hit level 6. So that bottom lane as well, which has lost the red elixirs from the start, are actually at a fairly serious disadvantage here since Cop and Elements did not get that. You can see there's already a Vamp Scepter advantage on Cop in items over Brunchu because not only did Brunchu start with the red elixir, he also bought a pink ward of his own. So if there's any kind of help that comes into that lane from Curse, they might be able to turn something around.
Yeah, those pink wards have actually been held by Brunch and MIA, and it seems like they're obviously used to clear out wards and put aggression on the bottom lane, but they haven't been able to find any ganks from Mortis. It's all been top, it's all been mid.
And there's been that lot of criticism lately coming into Curse's bottom 2v2 lane. They're doing a very good job in this one because after going up against 2 red elixir starts, they're up 17 minion kills and continually pressuring that lane.
See Nightjackie switching it over. He actually goes Seeker's Arm Guard this time instead of his regular buy through. And we'll see Prawley picking up just some damage for himself, actually stacking the tier, going for his regular build, that Muramana in the end, along with some Last Whisper damage or a Black Cleaver if he chooses.
Yeah, he wants to be able to just stack the tier up. He might actually not even get this blue buff. We'll see how they decide to pass it off because Amumu can farm very well with the blue buff, and the pass will be happening for actually both the mid laners here very shortly.
We see Jackie going over to get a ward up. He'll be safe for now. They're going to get their blue soon, so he does not want to get closed in on that. Not too much aggression for either lane here, coming in about 18.5 minutes. We've had a first few buys, but it's really a lot of Doran's, a lot of actually Doran's rings and Doran's blades, so no core items yet really being built.
And Mortis picks up the blue buff himself, so Prawley's going to try to survive with just the tier, and this is Complexity's thing. They're so good at getting early dragons. Right when Cop and Elements decided to go back, even though Cop and Elements had control of the bottom lane, Complexity's still going for the dragon, but there's a Twisted Fate ult to see it. Complexity has enough support though, and there's so many people on Curse that are so far away. 8-minute, 50-second dragon.
They're able to grab that. They may even have the timer from the top lane to say, Nijaki wants that blue. We're going to get it even safer. So Complexity finds themselves about a 1,500 gold lead. We'll see who that goes to. 77 minions to 45 on Nijaki in mid. So it's going to be quite a while if he doesn't get any kills before he can Zhonya's and before he can be an impact with the build he's looking for.
And one thing we have to keep in mind with that gold lead is the fact that Complexity did invest so much into the Red Elixir start.
That's true.
So they had 4 Red Elixirs compared to Curse, which just had 1. So that is a 750 gold swing already subtracted from Complexity. With that, it's still about 500 gold, but they've also built more pink wards, so it's getting closer and closer.
Yeah, it is. Gold kind of return on investment isn't coming back just yet for them. Hopefully they can find it in a few fights here. They do have the 2-1 as we saw in the top lane aggression. We may see that soon here. Saint already from base looking for the top lane. Lotta Mortis has just cleared his golems. We look again to have that 2v2.
And maybe a 2v2 in the top lane as well, because the junglers and the top laners are both approaching each other. Lotta Mortis has his ultimate on Amumu, and St. Vicious will have his flash up on Udyr quite soon if they decide to do something aggressive. Lotta Mortis isn't quite at full health. They might try to braid into this brush.
Just on the backside, we got ultimates to go off. St. Vicious could still really bear around here, but they quickly take down Voyboy before he can think about it. Saint forced to back here. Great 2v2.
Big play by Complexity there. Amumu is so powerful with his level 6 gank when he decides to burn Curse the Sad Mummy. Also, because he had the blue buff, he'll be able to do that again much sooner.
This is really great synergy, the Kayle MF. You give that heal to MF, she can get that speed buff on Strut and get a few more attacks, and you can see how much harass they're able to put on the bottom lane.
And St. Vicious's Bear Scream burned the ghost of Nick Wu. He was actually a little bit worried about getting stunned down in the 1v2 because he'd drawn turret aggro from a Q he'd popped on St. Vicious, so he actually ghosted away. That'll actually attract Saint to going back there even more, despite the fact that Saint's ganks top have actually backfired a little bit.
They still have the summoners from last one. Voyboy went down fast enough that he couldn't even flash out, but Saint also still, his patented flash bear stun gank enhancement is up, so he may be able to get that down like you said. We'll see if he trails back to the top lane before that ghost is up for Nick Wu. Probably still pushing down, just reaching 100 CS now, mirroring a bye with Brunch U as they put BS swords in their pockets. The tier is still stacking for him, and a Hex Drinker picked up right quick for Nick Wu on the top.
And an 800 gold advantage for Prawley with that lane. He's the 28 minion kills up, but just the 900 gold, and that's kind of neutralized a little bit by the fact that Brunch U is at 3160 versus Cop's 3600, so it's like the mid lane is winning for Complexity. The top lane is pretty much winning for Complexity, but the bottom lane is losing, so it's on whoever can carry harder as this game moves on.
And you can see Nick Wu actually hitting 9 just as he crosses that minion there, stacking him up a little bit more on health. Voyboy forced to Drunken Rage, looking for those resistances, and he's just trying to tank his lane, or tank the damage in his lane, because he's not going to be healing it up.
Darius at level 9 is a very scary person. If you hit him with the outer ring of your Decimate, his Q, not only does it do like 300 plus damage, it also applies the bleed, which will do another 40 or 50. So it's something that Voyboy has to be really careful of, since he doesn't even have armor in that lane.
A lot of aggression in the middle lane, actually coming in. Nijaki with the yellow card. They can't get it on Probably just yet. Lotta Mortis from the side. Do they get the full range bandage toss? It's going to be St. Vicious running in a straight line, the fastest way to get away from your opponent.
Bear stance just flying away. You can see he's actually got 2 points in Bear, 2 points in Turtle, and 4 points in Phoenix stance, as we had him selected there for a second. And that's just what he's doing. He puts some in Bear, some in Turtle, just skills things as he needs, and look for St. Vicious to try to keep the pressure up throughout this map. He usually steals a lot of farm from lanes, but it's mainly just to make sure that the lanes are pushed so the other jungler can't gank. This game, however, Lotta Mortis has done such an amazing job actually keeping pace with St. Vicious' farm and showing up where he's ganked.
There's the teleport to the bottom lane. They throw the ultimate. It actually pushes them to safety. Unfortunate, but an attempt that was necessary for Curse.
And they burned both of their global threats there for no real reward. Yes, it burned 2 flashes. I don't even know if they're going to get a turret out of this, because both of those guys who just teleported down have to get back to their own lane so they don't get overpushed. They were trying to capitalize on Cops and Elements' advantage in that lane, but Brunch U and MAA seem to be ready for it.
Nick Wu sitting pretty in the top lane now, as you said, because they've been pulled down. They have to leave that lane, so a lot of global pressure has just been taken off of Complexity. The map is objective free for another minute and a half, so they don't have to worry about Dragon. We'll have to see if they get the wards there. Loudamortis is really known for being the one to take the early dragon, so we know they'll have the focus on it.
And I feel like we've read this book before when we've been watching Complexity and Curse games. Complexity doing an amazing job early game, keeping into it. Let's see if they can continue to push their advantages. Loudamortis now in this bottom lane. They have only taken the one turret. Let's see if they can keep it going.
They have to choose the choose your own adventure section instead of the Curse finishes this book. St. Vicious coming in on the backside, and it looks like Curse looks to make an impact here. It's going to be Loudamortis going in on the fight totally. He's trying to negate what Saint's doing on the back line here and throw the aggression forward. And he takes Saint for a second. They only grab the support here for a kill. 1 for 1 now. Support for support. Nijaki coming in from the backside. Cop coming in as well, but he chooses not to. Probably comes in from the mid lane. He misses the spikes. No slow there, and they may be able to get out alive here, finalizing a second kill for the one.
So they do get a 2-for-1. Brunch used bullet time, canceled immediately as he cast it. I don't even think he got a single bullet off, and that couldn't combo with Loudamortis' Curse of the Sad Mummy, so they didn't get what they wanted out of this, but now Nick Wu is down as well, and they're going to look for kills or turret.
There's the slow onto Nijaki. He has a bit of save, but look at those mana bars. Not enough to fight back. Cop's going to do what he can with auto attacks. They get just enough under the turret. The apprehend is in range. Nick Wu picks himself up another one. 3-0-1 on the day.
Voyboy trying to run down as well, but that trades the kill back for Complexity. Looks like the Dragon is going to be up in a second as well. I wonder if they're going to go for this one. They have the timer on it, but Curse looks like they might be in position, and one of the best Dragon stealers in the game is Gragas.
Absolutely, Jat. They did have that timer ready. They put everybody in their forces down bottom. They're making Nick Wu be the focus here, but I'm sure they're fine with that. They're going to be able to grab Dragon. That's 150 gold for the entire team, or 190 gold, I should say, for the entire team, just for Nick Wu. But that is shut down for Saint.
So there is a bit of a trade there, but I would say Complexity got about 400 gold out of all of that. Now the question is, with this TF gold going off, are they going to lose the blue buff as well?
Looks like Prowley gets it. Oh, he actually grabs an ultimate out of that one as well, but nothing really lost by Saint, or Voyboy rather. They back off to continue aggression in the bottom lane. Jackie pushing mid.
Overall, I'd say that was actually really positive for Complexity. It allowed Loudamortis to complete his Runic Bulwark, and they haven't lost too many big objectives yet, but Curse is keeping the pressure up now for pushing bottom.
This is going to be a turret. They're going to try to negate a little bit more of that gold off of the kill. Still won't be the same amount. MIA and team now 23,500 gold to about 21,000. 5-4 here. 15 minutes. Nijaki looking to create pressure in mid. Draws Loudamortis from the bottom lane, but Complexity still holding this turret against 4.
And Curse has a lot of pressure right now. There was a huge wave that just collided with the top turret as they're keeping 4 people bottom and actually not losing any other objectives because of it. I don't think Complexity can hold this turret much longer.
It's going to be that poke from Cop in the back. You can see Saint just putting himself on the front in the turtle. The bullet time only deters them a little bit, and it's not even used for an engagement.
And Complexity is going to have to create some kind of pressure elsewhere because Nick Wu is just happily farming in the top lane. There is no immediate threat for Curse to have to respond to this. Nijaki is free farming in mid lane against Loudamortis, and it is still this 4v3 on this turret push. Complexity doing their damage to try to keep him back with all their AoE, but Curse really intent on getting this one.
That blue just wears off of Voyboy, but the ultimate's about to come up. I can see this turret going down and the body slam going through with the ultimate initiation. They choose to back off as Prowley leaves himself the only one to be hit.
It did take them a very long time with all that pressure created, and now the pressure has kind of been lost because they spent so long getting that. The pressure created the turret kill, but now it's on Complexity to see where their map presence is. Everyone on Curse has to go back because Complexity knows where they were, and maybe, since Complexity didn't get harassed, they might take turrets of their own.
If they can, that would be amazing. Nick Wu's had all the time in the world in this top lane. He's going to get about to a half health before he finds Voyboy in his face. Huge clears here. So the double AP strat coming together for Curse. We see the teleports kind of starting to come into play. Complexity has been able to adapt really nicely here. They're trying to take down this bottom turret, like you said, able to make some moves as their own on the structures. They find that with Cop and Elements on the backside waiting to initiate.
2 turrets to 1, 2,500 gold. Gotta say this game is still really close. Complexity mainly keeping themselves ahead of it with the Dragons probably, and mainly the global objectives. The fights have been really close. They've been brawling back and forth. I mean, the tier of the Goddess is still stacking up on Prowley. There's a lot of big stuff that's going to be happening. One of the things that Complexity has to really keep in mind, though, is that Darius, Nick Wu, unless the rest of the team scales up really hard, Darius himself doesn't scale up that hard unless he's finishing off kills.
So, Jack, there are champions that, you know, benefit more from having a ton of gold, but there are some that can still play really well when there isn't a lot of gold. And that's what we've been seeing late of Season 3 is that there is not much farm in these games. From Champ Select, can you kind of plan that out with the champions you have?
Only a little bit. I mean, what Complexity planned out is that they want to be able to win this game before, like, hyper late game because they have all that area of effect damage and they don't want Curse to build enough innate, there's beefiness, there's a better word for this, that is just evading me right now as my brain breaks as I'm trying to analyze this, but it is a matter of when Complexity can get them all low enough to get the resets, they'll be okay. But if Curse builds enough to sustain, they won't be able to.
Flash for a flash, eye for an eye there in mid. It looks like they still have Destiny to be used. That's going to be a good initiation for them. I don't think they're going to go on Loud Mortis though, so he's not looking to flash away. His bandage toss, however, is going to have to be that walk-in, so he gets in range. Nick Wu, Ghost is up so they can get into that fight. We'll have to see what they do. The flash is down for Prolly. The summoners are actually down for quite a few members on the map. They are really rolling this one slow. Dragon just went down a few minutes ago. 19 minutes in. It's 2-1 in turrets. We just have pretty much both teams feeling each other out in the mid game.
And St. Vicious is trying to also benefit from his late game Udyr thing, because one thing that's going to stop kind of everyone from Complexity of being nuked down is if St. Vicious can get tanky enough on Udyr to essentially be the one guy that goes in, eats all of that stuff, and disrupts the AoE combo from landing on the rest of his team. That's one of the big reasons that he's used those 3 kills to split push a whole bunch. He's now at 104 minion kills, and he's also built that early Sunfire Cape, so he's only going to continue clearing waves faster. It's really all about whether St. Vicious can live through Complexity's stuff or if he becomes strong enough to disrupt Complexity's combos.
So with him clearing waves faster, is that something he's going to be used in split push later, or do they still need him in the fight? Is it kind of a now thing?
I think it's one of those both things, because
Okay.
Udyr usually is fast enough to be able to split push waves and then still be useful in other ways, because you can see now, he didn't actually take damage from that turret. He used his rank 3 turtle stance and his rank 3 bear to scare off Prolly, make him jump away, and they're just consistently pressuring that top turret, while Complexity is now trying to counter by pushing mid.
All about the pressure. Elements getting caught in there by Apprehend. He gets sliced a little bit. Loud Mortis on the outside. Do they choose to go? Nightjacking and the rest of the team kind of walked into the end of Curse of the Sad Mummy there. Nick Wu gets locked up, but he is so tanky right now. 4-1-1. The Sunfire on the Hex Drinker. St. Vicious goes on to Prolly up top. A 2v1, and Prolly looks to come out on top here. The Destiny goes down so they can keep vision in any situation on Prolly, and it looks like Saint gets out. Prolly could jump out of this one if he has it. His flashes and Ignite is down. He finally gets hit up as Saint comes back in for the kill secured.
Just barely lives through that one as they get the turret dive kill shutdown onto Prolly, but they had 2 members up there. They got too low that they couldn't necessarily finish off the turret, and Complexity used their ults to get a kill on a turret. Actually, I think Curse did as well. Voyboy
is going to find this in the top lane. The Drunken Rage is ticking, so he's getting those hits off, and he's going to be able to drop the turret for his team, putting the gold up 29,000 to 31.5. Complexity still with a bit of an edge here, and this is kind of what we said it happens to Curse. Complexity gets the early game, Curse kind of gets their foothold, finds the strength, and goes back at the other team.
And Curse keeps going back to shop at really unfortunate times, because this is the 3rd Dragon in a row that Complexity's been able to pick up, and St. Vicious was just a second late. He even had the pink ward because they were planning on controlling that spot, but Complexity really just beat them to it.
Yeah, they are going to pressure this. They said, we lost Dragon, we're going to give you hell on your blue buff, and it looks like they're going to go face-to-face. Loud Mortis waiting on the outside. Curse is down, waiting to get that perfect bandage toss, but they're taking a good amount of poke here from Wildcard. Saint locked into the team, actually throws himself into the team. They get the Lulu ultimate onto him, and Voyboy's right in the middle. Where's he going to be able to use his ultimate here? They are actually jumping. Complexity wants this fight, but I don't think it's the right idea. Getting one to go down. MIA falls. Curse rather stands. Cop falls finally into the fight, and health bars are so low everywhere. It's last hits coming out for champion kills. Brunchew able to find a few there. It's going to be gold. It could be wild cards to come out. Does he find Loud Mortis? He tries to run the other way. It's not going to be enough. That was instantly cleansed by Brunchew for the double kill.
That fight was turning in so many different ways. To begin with, Loud Mortis didn't have his ultimate when that started, and it was really just the giant bear in the middle of everyone wreaking havoc. But then Complexity did get some of their AoE off onto a few things, and Nick Wu was actually poised to finish off everyone with his Noxian Guillotine over and over again, but he didn't have the mana, and he actually ended up dying right before it as well. So even with all of that happening, even without Loud Mortis having his ultimate and Nick Wu running out of mana, they still come away with the 4v3 victory.
Absolutely crazy. We have a replay of the last fight because it was so back and forth. We'll kind of just see where the engagement was and how they brought it back.
And I really just want to take another look at this one to get more closely. St. Vicious has so beefy at the start of this fight, and the Lulu wall coming off on him really just creates a bunch of chaos within Complexity. Complexity also didn't have all 5 people here right at the start of it, and they're a little bit low. Finally, Prolly comes in from the back, and I don't think that's what Curse took time for. Brunchew gets off a full channel of his ultimate, which got them low enough for Prolly to create the chaos. St. Vicious and Voyboy were trying to be the front line, but Complexity kind of turned back. Loud Mortis is just trying to be involved. He didn't have his ultimate, so he didn't know really what to do. And here's where Nick Wu wants to ultimate everyone, because they could have just chained back and forth. Didn't quite have enough. The Zhonya saves Nijaki long enough for Saintvicious to get away, but it was just so close in so many different ways.
All right, and as we go back to live, we do see Curse somewhat hanging around in mid as they give Complexity a little bit of aggression here. The ultimate wasted out for a jump from Voyboy, so we'll see if this could be the initiation. There it is, going for Lotta Mortis. Curse of the Sad Mummy is down. Bullet time right across. The Taster's Choice favorite rips across Curse, and it looks like Complexity is going to have the upper hand in this fight. Nick Wu finds 1 kill. Nick Wu gets the guillotine on a 2nd kill. The 2nd bandage toss of the fight onto Elements. That's how long it's going. The Destiny goes out for full vision on everyone. Prowley gets the intervention as he goes into the fight. Elements falls. Complexity had just found the 4-kill fight. They find a 3-for-nothing kill fight right after.
It all started with the dodge by Prolly at the start of that. As soon as Voyboy didn't have his ultimate, Letamortis knew there would be no disengage if he got his Curse of the Sad Mummy. He landed his bandage toss, which let him start everything, and then Nick Wu had the mana this time to hop around. Now it's 5v2 at the Baron. Saintvicious does not want this to happen, but Complexity is trying to peel off and finish it.
Oh, Curse wants to get in here. Saintvicious showing the bear turtle stance, but they can't even get close. Baron down to 2,500 HP, not even in smiting distance. Saintvicious is a little early. He could get in 2,100. He doesn't even have the HP to throw the smite off. The shutdown goes to Brunch. The Baron goes to Complexity. They're pretty hurt, but at 25 minutes, they're up 15-8.
That's essentially a delayed ace for nothing plus a Baron. Will Complexity have enough this time to win their 4th matchup against Curse? They seemingly always pull ahead, but haven't been able to finish. They still don't have necessarily a crazy late game team comp. Darius has most of their kills, which can be dangerous in certain situations, but boy, do they look good.
Everybody trying to make moves now for Curse. Voyboy roaming alone, knowing that Complexity is just taking a breather from that amazing fight they just had. And yeah, Curse is going to get a little advantage there. They take away the mid turret, they get some map open, they get some map pressure opened up on Complexity's side, but they have to make the moves now. They face-to-face 5-on fights, so much in favor of Complexity at this point.
And so much of what Saintvicious wants to do in these fights is just kind of disrupt Prolly and Brunch. He doesn't want to let Prolly jump around, and he doesn't want to let Brunch auto attack in bullet time. So what Saintvicious has done is he's stacked a whole bunch of armor. He's got the Ninja Tabi, the Warden's Mail, and the Sunfire Cape. Luckily for Complexity, they both managed to finish Last Whispers, and Brunch isn't going for the Black Cleaver, even though they have a lot of physical damage. We'll see if that choice backfires for them a little bit, because what Brunch has done in that situation is he's made his individual bullet time do a bit more damage, but it's at the cost of Prolly and Nick Wu doing slightly less. It has gotten them to this point. I wonder if it can finish the game for them.
The Bulwark paying dividends right now versus this double AP comp. There's a bandage toss. Oh, that Caliber net was just on the edge. Stop it on a dime. We're going to have to see this turret going down here. Lotta Mortis and Nick Wu going to be tanking this one up. They know the turret's going down, so they place the ward out to keep vision on Complexity, because right now they are scared to fight.
That bandage toss may have been exactly what Complexity needed to try to finish this game, but didn't quite land. And now the flash is down for Lotta Mortis. That's one of the big Amumu initiation tools, is just a straight up flash ult. Oftentimes you'll see them flash ult and then land the guaranteed bandage toss for 4 seconds of a lockdown on somebody, but he was so far away and Complexity was playing so far back, he had to flash to try to start it. So it didn't quite work out for Complexity. The disengage still would have been possible for from Voyboy's Gragas in that particular situation, and you know Complexity might be pressing a little bit on this one, because all year it has been a struggle for them to end games. They've been able to do it lately this week. They are 2-1 on the week, and they've closed both the games they've had a lead in. See if they can do it here. It
is really do or die for these teams coming in. They need to make these wins happen. 27 minutes in. Like I said, it was 15-8. A 4-kill fight and a 3-kill fight in a row for Complexity. They've only lost 2 throughout both of those, so we'll have to see what they can do as they push down the second turret in the bottom lane here. They are up by 7,000 gold as it stands, and 5-3. They look to make it 6-3 in turrets.
And they keep getting Curse out of position. Curse is trying to shove out the other lanes to make sure their other turrets aren't there, and Curse doesn't necessarily have the best ward coverage throughout their jungle, so Complexity is maneuvering around and getting the free turrets down when they can.
7-2-5. Nick Wu from the top lane actually goes for the Elder Lizard for himself, the Spirit of the Elder Lizard. So does his swing actually get that apply on all?
It should. If he can Q an area, the physical damage will burn everything in that area. So It may or may not work out for them. They're just trying to get everybody low so they can start the resets happening. We'll see if they can pull off a combo. Ludamortis lands!
All eyes, it's on to Cop. He's got to get it off right away. But no, he has barrier not cleansed, and he gets taken down. Nick Woo's taking the turret for his team. They go on to Voyboy. It's a double kill for Kha'Zix. Probably looks to get more in here. Can they get the fight to work? Satan is trying to chase them out. Brunch is on the outside. A kill coming in for Nick Woo here. It's 3 down for Curse. The inhibitor turret looks to go down here, but they don't have a wave. They're going to have to be very careful on any reinitiation here. Jackie does not have his ultimate or ignite, so they look to be safe from any just outside poke damage.
The bandage toss on the first target really keyed that off, and even though when Complexity initiated, the turret was actually on Brunch U, it helped the dive in the end because MIA ulted Brunch U to help tank up the turret, and then the rest of Complexity could just jump around, killing Cop and pushing everyone else back. They then peeled back, finished off Voyboy and St. Vicious, and got the inhibitor that they were looking for.
Complexity just started a fight under Curse's turret and said, "This is mine." The turret was there, and that's the scary part because it's not there anymore. They're going to have to fight for that inhibitor. They have 2 more to go down if they can get the items necessary to make these fights work, and I don't know what that would be right now. They have the Infinity Edge. They have the almost Phantom Dancer on Cop. They need to piece that together. He should still be doing more damage than Brunch U.
I think this is another situation where Curse just needs time.
Right.
Because we saw Marn do it over time. There were huge amounts of waves pushing into their base for a good 20 minutes, and they could accumulate farm advantages. You see the start of that on Cop's Caitlyn, 235 to 198. He's way behind in gold, but he is only 1 level behind, and he needs more time to farm up. He's kind of held that advantage the whole game, but he's just going to try to take double golems, try to keep farming around, but Complexity trying to make stuff happen, just like COG was, in all honesty.
They have the magic resistance, and they've been able to buy armor, which crushes Cop so much. Finishing the Phantom Dancer means he's really far away from a Last Whisper, and he's shooting into brick walls right now, according to Ludamortis and Nick Woo's inventory.
And look at that. Obviously, they've had the Runic Lord for so long. Nick Woo actually goes for the supporty item in the Locket of the Iron Solari, so him and Ludamortis are sharing the burden of having to build those aura items. They go for more Sunfire Caves just to continually burn down and really make Ludamortis more of an individual threat in this game instead of just a support tank. So now, Complexity had a Baron in their last inhibitor push. They don't have it this time, and Baron is only a minute away, so unless they catch something real good, I don't think Complexity is going to go in crazy on this one.
They think there's going to be a fight. Curse throws down a pink ward for anything. Probably could try to sneak in with his ultimate. That little bit of invisibility can really cause chaos in a team fight, and they're not going to give him any of it. So Cop's on the bottom side. They know they can start to create, you know, that split pressure and start to spread Curse thin here.
Ludamortis might try to throw out a few bandage tosses. If he could somehow catch Cop, it would be miraculous, but Cop, as you said, is split pushing that side lane. You can tell Complexity's taking this one a little bit slow. They want to make sure that they have the Baron control again. They have very good Baron control. They would much rather fight in the open than fight inside Curse's base if that's an option that's available to them.
You can see where Curse's mindset is too. MIA builds a Shurelya's, Curse builds a second Locket on their support as the Chalice is coming in as well. So they know these fights aren't in their favor right now, and they're trying to put everything in their back pocket to pull out and trick Complexity coming into these strategies.
Because MIA went for the Reverie so they can force fights better.
Exactly.
Whereas Curse knows they can't necessarily start fights themselves. Despite having Twisted Fate and Gragas, who normally is a great initiation combo when you're ahead, they can only really counter-initiate and hope the Complexity initiates on a mistake.
This is really the first time this year you kind of see somebody like Voyboy trying to pull somebody else's champion or Curse in a situation where they say, well, ban these out and choose your champions to play against you instead of them playing, you know, their wheelhouse once. Nyjackie coming into mid, they look to start a lot of pressure here. So this is where Curse could be trying to make their move. They said, the minion waves are out of our base. We have a pretty good push except for bottom lane, which they have to be careful for. And they're going to try to dictate what Complexity does in this next dance.
Luckily, Voyboy does have his teleport up, so that Curse will be able to somewhat harass this Baron off as Voyboy goes to clear, but Complexity should clear this pretty fast if they decide to fight it. Amumu does % max health damage on Baron. Brunch U is hitting it pretty hard. Prawley's Q spam on that is quite good as well. And Complexity's actually doing this without an Oracle's arriving there. Now Ludamortis will see this ward, but they should realize the Curse has full vision and might want to fight this.
Teleport coming in from Voyboy just below. Nick Woo is going to push him off to the side. They go on to St. Vicious. They're going to have to be careful here. Ludamortis on the backside is not with his team. He is kind of just off to the side. He's trying to get in. The pathing isn't right. You can see that there's minions in the base right now knocking on the Nexus turret. It's almost about to go down. So right now Complexity plays the dance game of don't let Curse back.
And they're just going to go right back to Baron here. Even though they missed some of the initiations on Curse, they still have the pressure on their side. Curse is still moving back
Oh my
up
gosh,
towards
they're
Baron
pulling
because
him
they
in.
don't think the minions can go there. Complexity still may fight this yet.
They are going to go. They just got another wave spawn coming in the bottom every 30 seconds. On to Nijaki. He loses half of his HP. They can't even answer back here. Saint tries to go in, but they don't realize Nijaki just got obliterated on the other side of the fight, and they aren't even together to initiate.
But the Baron was chunking down Complexity that entire time. There's a couple people on their team that are half health, and again, Curse has to go back to their base because the Super Minion is knocking down the door again, and the Baron pressure might
God, they're
discontinue.
going back. They just get a Void Spike onto that from Prolly. They push the top wave as well. They are going to have to concede this one. Complexity looks to come in strong with the Baron buff on their next initiation.
Complexity played it smart and safe. Curse did not outplay them that time as they have so many times in the past this year with those Baron dances and with those late game team fights. Complexity went for Udyr, which could have very well been a poor engage at the very start of it, but the rest of their team didn't get caught out in any bad positions, and they knew they had the all-important Super Minion push in the bottom, so they played it safe and they got the Baron.
Chad, I think it was really a problem that the only ward Voidboy could teleport was completely split from his team on the bottom side of the Baron.
And even though he had the home guard teleport, couldn't even get there in time. And that's also, I don't know if it was intentional or lucky, because Complexity's team all ran off essentially in the other direction that Voidboy teleported into, so he couldn't clash into that fight, even though he was a speeding fat man.
Not something you see every day, but it hurts a lot when it hits you square in the face. 35 minutes in, 18-8, our overall score in kills, 56,000 and a half gold. This is 56.5 to that 46, and we'll say a half as well. So 10,000 gold lead here for Complexity as they picked up Baron. They are buffed up, generated, and ready to go for this inhibitor.
Plus they got the elixirs on MIA, blue elixir on Kale, and a red elixir on Brunchu, so they want the refresh on this inhibitor, and they have so much time left on this Baron buff. Even if they don't fight here, they're going to continue pressure on other turrets.
Curse knows they can't really get anything in here. The bandage toss initiates the fight. The gold card is up on Jackie, but he was in range to throw it. He just can't. You don't want it.
He definitely does not want to. He doesn't have that much ability power on Twisted Fate either, right? He's 285. There's no ability power champion to compare it to on Complexity because they're just all physical damage, just brute force coming through there. Even the Muramana on this patch is physical damage right now. But because Curse has been strangled in their base for so long, the only one really able to stack armor has been St. Vicious.
Getting some damage, poke over the wall, but still from Prolly, those Void Spikes, we've seen them clear Nijaki's health along with that Q in an instant. And Nijaki is really the first one that wants to get in there with his gold card. He's initiating the Destinies. They could push for this inhibitor turret here.
And this is about the bandage tosses from Ludamortis. He does not have his flash ultimate from Amumu, and they're actually still waiting on the ghost from Nick Wu if they want to really go for this one. Almost all the flashes on Cursor up except for St. Vicious, but if a bandage toss lands over the wall for Ludamortis, Complexity will go.
I expect them to do this on the next wave. We see the Void Spikes from probably clearing out the back caster minions so quickly that it's kind of a scare, and Ludamortis may just be able to bandage toss past that. They take the inhibitor out, it's not even going to matter there, and this is where they go to clear it, where they could initiate. Ludamortis taking that damage for his team. As the Void Spike clear, Ludamortis looks to come in, but cannot get anything with Prolly that time.
And he was just flexing his muscles there. They were tanking that turret, and Curse is being dared to fight them right now. They're getting closer and closer to being initiated on. St. Vicious is trying to be the only presentable target because if a bandage toss lands on him, it's not the end of the world. But as the next wave comes, Complexity will continue to put damage on this inhibitor.
There it is. It's going to be Brunchu on that top side. He's looking to hit Void, or Voidboy's looking to hit Brunchu. You can see them. They're playing parallel. Saint is playing parallel to Ludamortis and the other tanky junglers, and we see Nick Wu now putting himself in front of Brunch. They have a lot better initiation to this inhibitor, and you can see how much Curse is backing off.
There's only a minute left on this Baron buff, so that's about 2 more waves for Complexity. I wonder if they're going to be going for this one. The next wave is arriving. They're getting the inhibitor lower and lower, and Curse might want to fight this one, or it's gone.
That bottom wave is crushing in. The bandage toss misses right off of the inhibitor. They're going to have to focus onto that. The Nexus turret has gotten itself some HP back. It is back above half health. And it looks like Ludamortis is going to face tank this one for his team. They do have the damage. Hopefully, you're going to use that speed buff by MF. A few cooldowns have been used to try and initiate on this turret. Curse pushes them off.
Technically, Complexity could still fight here. They do have 2 inhibitors down. The Baron will be falling off in about 10 seconds. So if Complexity fought right now, they could get it on the initiation. They're face taking this turret.
They are going to try to get this one down. Saint just going on the outside there, gets the stun onto Prowly. They do get some good turret damage onto him. Loudamortis goes in, a backline Curse of the Sad Mummy, blocked out the intervention damage, stopping that curse, or the barrel rather, from Voyboy. They're still trying to go into the fight. Saint is quite tanky now, and Complexity may be a little too chaotic to coordinate the focus. They are losing a lot of health. Nijaki was in the back line. Nobody could follow Loudamortis that deep.
They lost the Baron for that fight, and the fact that Loudamortis went way in as they weren't really sure if they were going to finish the turret or not. So he was ahead of the team, and then Voyboy's barrel split them entirely. So Nick Wu was in there without much support, could not Darius execute the right target, so they ended up losing that fight. Overall though, Riv, I think that was totally mission accomplished as they got two inhibitors and all of the inhibitor defending turrets.
Deja vu from last game. We'll see if it happens again. Marn was able to do it, and Curse has been put in the same position. They just have a Nexus turret more.
And you actually need to meet these ridiculous conditions in order to have these crazy comebacks.
Yeah.
You need a team that kills inhibitors early and then doesn't close immediately. And you also need the gold lead to be relatively close. A third component could be having a better late game team comp, which is arguable in this game because there's no like crazy Tristana that's super far ahead in this one, but this is actually close to fulfilling the same conditions for a possible comeback that the last game has. Since Complexity is all physical damage, they haven't built the Black Cleaver, so St. Vicious is able to tank a lot of damage and be that frontline threat. If Cop gets enough more free farm, as he's been just hitting minions straight for the past 20 minions, he's now 70 ahead of Brunch. It's not as probable as the last one, but it actually still has a chance for Curse to come back.
Absolutely. See if Cop can get himself fed enough. He is on that last Whisper level now. We see the Infinity Edge being brought out here by Brunch U, and Brunch U has picked himself up some Alacrity boots as well, so he's already upgraded on top of that, looking for that speed.
And this is really just one of the things you would buy against an Udyr, because Udyr relies so much on move speed. Sometimes even that 3% passive that Janna gets is one of the reasons Janna is such a good counter pick. So even the 15 move speed that Brunch can pick up with those Alacrity boots, if he's keeping his strut up as well, since not much can reach him if he sits far in the back, is just going to help him position all that much better and kite St. Vicious around.
And really, I like the St. Vicious going instead of the Aegis. His team hasn't built it. They built the Frozen Heart because they are up against the AD team.
It's really a smart item build. He didn't even bother going for an Aegis to the Legion because the upgrade of that is a runic bulwark and it's mainly for magic damage. Complexity is just not doing enough magic damage, but Loudamortis might be going in for another fight, and we could see the game here if they decide to engage.
Nick Wu took some good damage there. Voyboy now with the Void Staff. We know Gragas scales well into the late game. He can still be an impact if you can lock people up long enough. Those cooldowns are there. They haven't been able to get their blue buff though, so it's not a repetitive poke from Gragas coming out.
And they might be going in for inhibitor number 3, but they could very well fight on this. Complexity has to be careful because if they lost a fight, they'd also lose Baron. That's up in 10 seconds.
There we go. Baron, as you said, up in 10. The inhibitor down in maybe less or a little bit more. Can they get that push in? The wave coming in from one side. Loudamortis goes in. Can they follow this time? Nijaki very low. He gets the Lulu ultimate, but he's stunned up for the duration of it, so they may not be able to react. They got to get the focus onto St. Vicious. He is the one in front of you, but nobody else is able to help and focus Saint. A great hit rather. Exploding cast from Voyboy, but was it enough? Beautiful damage coming in the AoE factor from Complexity that fight.
And they did get that inhibitor, but the third inhibitor that had respawned is actually going to get saved by Cop. Curse loses the fight, and Complexity probably picks up a third Baron after this one.
It's so crazy how much peel both of the bruisers can really put on the back line. Saint was back there the whole time. Loudamortis again diving in, but he found Prowly's damage as well. They got a little bit from Nick Wu. They grab another Baron on the game, 19-10, 41 minutes into this one. 11,000 is the gold lead. They're ahead 9-3 in turrets, and they are not going back after this one.
Really crazy because half of their team is below half health at this point. They're going to rely on the Baron regen to maybe get them back up. They're going for that third exposed inhibitors because they want to get the synced super minions to go into the base of Curse, something that COG didn't really get that entire game.
There they go, they caught it. Look how much damage one barrel just did. A body slam on top of that, the same amount. A cask would absolutely destroy Brunch U. They have to be safe in these. They're definitely waiting for Brunch's cleanse to come back up because he's been locked up quite a few times in these fights. We'll have to see. Cop choosing that barrier has hurt him from Curse the Sad Mummy.
He hasn't been able to cleanse out of those fights, and on the flip side, even though Brunch U is going full offense, when he gets ulted by Gragas, it's really on MIA to pop that intervention on him at just the right time, and that's pretty much what MIA has been doing this entire game, is just trying to save Brunchu from that and allowing him to go glass cannon. So now is the moment for Complexity to try to finish this one. They've worked down all the inhibitors. They should have 6 3,500 health super minions arriving into Curse's base at the same time. Even though Cop is 4 huge items on Caitlyn there, it may not be enough to hold this next push off.
It's strong. We'll have to see what they can do. They obviously don't have the intervention, but they have given themselves the 2 Zhonyas on Nijaki and Voyboy, so they're losing with kind of 2 interventions, right? You can't attack when you're Zhonyas, but that's a big thing. Complexity is able to stay alive, figure out what they need to do, and get the focus down. Last fight, like we saw, was a little chaotic. We'll have to see if they can follow up Lauda-Mortis, or Complexity can follow up Lauda-Mortis. The same thing, everybody can follow St. Vicious, because right now it's those 2 being the initiators.
And it does look like the inhib timers are on a bit of a different sync as well. So instead of just waiting for the super minions to come through, there was only 1 wave of double super minions that actually came in since this inhibitor did respawn, and Complexity needs to make sure to clean this up if they want to get the full wave coming in. But knowing the doomsday prophecy of what would happen if Curse loses this inhibitor, they may end up fighting at this one, and Lauda-Mortis just needs one of those to land, and I think they'd have the game.
Lauda-Mortis missing Voyboy on that bandage toss. Nick Wu taking a bit. The poke goes out, and they try to get good poke coming in from Cop. St. Vicious knows that they can get some free damage there, so they get a quick stun, a few quick pokes. We see Dragon in 1 minute. Baron is ticking away on Complexity, so we'll have to see when they choose to do this, if they do go back, if they do try to get more items.
And I think Complexity is going to try to catch Curse in a Nexus defending moment, because Cop will have to go back to clear that off, and Complexity is coming in for the 3rd.
There they go. You see Brunchu putting on that speed steroid of his W. Get some quick shots out. Voyboy throwing the body slam. They go right back onto Nijaki. This is the follow-up. Can they get there? The Locket of the Iron Solari goes on for Complexity, and they are into the back line. Everyone's there, and Curse is running scared. Voyboy looks for the fountain, and so does Saint. Elements tries to stay in and support the team as much as possible. Even Cop has to come off of the fountain. He didn't even have time to heal.
But Cop did make it back, and that is still just a 1-for-1, so Complexity is on the run out of here.
There they are. They are able to turn this fight around. You are absolutely correct. Lauda-Mortis running top. This is great for Curse. They've pretty much lost an inhibitor, but thwarted in a potential game loss from this Baron push.
This is so hard. The Baron regen is still helping Complexity stay in this, and they have so many super minions coming in. I wonder if they're going to try to finish this. Cop is doing so much damage with every single auto attack, but Complexity has so many minions coming in.
Needs to go. They're trying for the top side. The super minion is tacking on the turret. They have the wave there. They're going to go for Lauda-Mortis real quick with a bear stance. Back in. Lauda-Mortis maybe not wanted that one to fully hit, but he does get himself out. Like he said, the regen keeping them this aggressive.
Nexus turrets are getting lower and lower.
Oh my gosh! Cop goes down in an instant. He had no idea it was coming. Didn't even have barrier to lose it. The first turret goes down. The second upset of the day is just moments away. Saint does not want this to happen. He is going to take charge, try to stop the offensive push. Lauda-Mortis puts himself to the turret. Here comes Voyboy in. The home guards have been stopped. He almost kills Lauda-Mortis and Brunch. He almost gets the body slam. Here goes Nijaki. They finish off the card. The Nexus is safe for now. They begin to push Complexity out of the base chat. The shutdown gold goes to Jackie. They're going to be able to finish off Prowly, and Prowly come back on this one is going to be a tough one.
Oh man, Riv, they got both Nexus turrets down this time, but still no Nexus. The gold is only 10,000 away. They will lose their Baron buff after this one. Cop is getting stronger and stronger. He's going for the same build that Nian Tonso did last game. Complexity was seconds away from staying alive in the season, right? And we have to remember that Complexity and Marn are tied for last. If they don't win both of their games today, they cannot tie for 6th. Keep in mind, Complexity is going to play Marn later in the day, so only one of these teams can still make the playoffs. And the teams that they need to lose games to happen here will be GGU and Vulcan. Both those teams have really hard matchups throughout the day, so it's a very real possibility that these teams can still make the playoffs after these miraculous games.
And to add on, Complexity beating Curse is huge for Team Solo Mid as well. That puts them for the #1. So a lot of things happen with this game.
There is just too much happening. Lauda-Mortis still hasn't died. He's 1-0-14. He's getting some big items on Amumu, but it seems like his impact is becoming a little bit less and less as this fight progresses. They haven't been able to close on Cop in quite some time, since Cop doesn't have to care about target selection at this point, since he's doing so much damage with Caitlyn. 407 minion kills. He's creeping up to that crazy mark that Nian Tonso was able to hit last game.
3 Lockets of the Iron Solari now, 2 Hexdrinks drinkers purchased out. These guys are buying in bulk as they come around. 2 Sunfire Caves, 2 Randuins as well. You can see a lot of auras being built on Saints side, on Curse's side coming in. One of the lockets they can use up, but really it's just a frozen heart right now.
And
so I shouldn't have said a lot.
Still no Aegis, obviously,
no Aegis.
because they don't need it.
Right.
That is actually a smart choice for them at this point. There is no Black Cleaver on Brunchu because they're not caring about the AoE armor shred as much anymore. They're carried about single targeting out St. Vicious and making him get out of their face because he's being so disruptive in these fights. Voyboy as well has that death cap now, so he's a huge threat. And we might see the fight here. There's a bandage.
That's the bandage toss. They get him locked up with the yellow card. He may try to get himself. Flashes in the initiation, and it's going to be the final one for somebody. St. Vicious taking a lot. He gets the Lulu Wall. The bullet time grazes the left side of the fight, so it's a lot of damage missed, but Voyboy is not in a good spot. He takes half of his health to defensively body slam out. The guillotine coming down, but probably kill secures on that one. The Nexus in the eyes of Complexity. They look to take down Curse, and they're going to be able to do it 48 minutes in on the 3rd day of Super Week. The last few bits of damage coming in on the Nexus.
It took them 48 minutes, but they did it at the end there. You wouldn't think that they would focus the super tanky St. Vicious at the start of that one, except the Noxian guillotine just came down on top of him at the end of that fight, and finally, Complexity could push it through for the win.
Had Curse's idea. They saw last game and they said, we could do it better. We're going to lose both Nexus turrets first, but they slipped up at the end and they weren't able to pull it back into their favor.
It was all going according to plan. It was just one more little thing and Curse would have had that one, but wow, that is also crazy for Curse and TS.
Prove that the pressure of Super Week is real.
I completely agree with that one because those were 2 of the best games I have seen all year at the end of the year.
And we, like, down to Nexus, how many times have we said 3 inhibitors down, you can't come back? One team proved us wrong, another team proved it right. So we're 50-50 on it. We'll have to see there's more amazing games for Super Week to come. It's time for a short break, but when the LCS returns, Freak and Kobe will sit down with Complexity's Nick Wu to talk about their huge upset win we just saw, and then Team Solomid tries to take over sole possession of first place when they battle Good Game University. Don't go anywhere.